and it's going down. I'll be back in about another 9 minutes. Get this thing started by 8:30. Y'all can log in then. I just wanted to get everything rocking. All right. Should I play some music or something? Get this thing started early? What's up? All right. About to get to it. We on? Oh, we definitely on. For those watching, for those paying attention, for all that going down. Damn, hold up 1 second. Here's some information. Got Siri talking to me. I'm gonna turn this phone off, and we're gonna get this thing started early. Hey, how's everybody doing, man? Welcome to another episode of the 1028. For those watching, how y'all doing? My name is Corey Ochai. This is a podcast slash sit down slash I get on here and I just talk my talk. You know what I mean? Today, I got a story to tell. That's how we're going to do it. Got a little story to tell, and we're going to sit here and conversate and all that good stuff. I'm pulling up a few things before we get started so I can talk with y'all if y'all want to talk with me. We're going to take this off the screen. For those, y'all can follow me on Facebook, the 1028. Also, we got a YouTube channel. Everything that'll be posted on here is live content. And I'll make sure every time you press that button, you leave this channel a better person than what you found it. Yeah, it's one of those podcasts, man. So if that's what you're looking for, you done found it. You ain't got to look no further. All right, man. Hopefully y'all having a great day out there. Hopefully everything's going out there smooth and beautiful and you out there living your dreams. For those out there that are having a hard time out there, I want to let you know you are not alone. It's happening to all of us. It's all about the way we approach it, man. And today I'm going to tell y'all the story about why I call this the 1028. And I'm going to tell y'all my story. I'm going to tell y'all how the worst thing that ever happened to you usually has the best impact on your life. You know what I mean? Jay-Z said it in an interview. I think he was with Kevin Hart when he was talking about things don't things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And I am a firm believer of that. And I'm going to tell you a story that kind of embodies that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. All right, I'm pull this bad boy up. Turn off the. There we go. So for those that want to comment and be in the comment section, please don't hesitate. Ask any question you like. I got you pulled up on the screen. So if that's what you want to do, you want to ask me a question live, please just pop it in there. I'll keep my eye on it. If I don't get directly to you, don't worry about it. I will respond somehow, some way. What's up, sweetie? I see you on there. I got my wife's on here right now, so make sure y'all keep it PG, man. No, I'm just kidding. How you doing, baby? All right. I got a viewer. I got somebody viewing. How about that? That's really dope. It might be my daughter. My daughter always has her phone. But let's get right to it, guys. Welcome to the 1028. Once again, I'm going to pull up that graphic, man, so you guys know where you're at. It's happening over here. It's going down. We're going to talk about the story. All right. Y'all ready? Let's get it. So, my name is Corey Ochai, for those that don't know. I've said it like 50 times already. And I want to tell you a little bit about my story and how I started in this journey of trying to live a life of significance, all right? What camera you like? You like this camera better or this one? All right, we're going to start here. So I was born in a beautiful town called Braddock, Pennsylvania. Shout out to the 15104, and shout out to John Fetterman as well as Summer Lee for out there killing it. I say the yellow brick road leads to Braddock, but yesterday was election day, and those guys, they all come from that same place that I come from, Braddock. Well, I grew up in Braddock. Let's get straight to the story. I grew up in Braddock, and yeah, it was a tough upbringing, man. It was a tough upbringing. There was a lot of things going on. It was a steel town. There's still a steel mill there, but a lot of the jobs there do not belong to the people in the town, and there wasn't a lot of resources. It wasn't a place where that's thriving. Braddock. If you go to Braddock, it's kind of like a ran down town. The only sources of money were not always legal. So that's kind of the environment I grew up in. I'm not saying I always that was something I partaked in, but it was something that was definitely a part of my upbringing. And yeah, I did indulge here and there in that lifestyle, but luckily, the worst thing that ever happened to me ended up becoming the best thing. So, like I said, I kind of indulged in that lifestyle and, living lawlessly, living a way that we probably shouldn't be living, but it was the only option I really had at that moment to acquire any funds. For those out there, if you know, you know. But I'm talking about really, illegal activities and those type of things, always getting into trouble, those type of things. So my whole life I lived like that. I can't say my whole life, but there was a point in time when I was around maybe between 15 to 18 where I was living recklessly, man. I was living recklessly, out there partying, out there doing God knows what, to try to make ends meet, as well as, didn't have the greatest role models, or I had some good people around me, but we weren't in the good things that I would say was healthy. Things that, the regular person would be into at that age. We weren't in that. We were into things that no one should be into at that age. But it was life to us. You couldn't tell us no different. That's just how we were living. So I think you kind of get the hint of what I'm trying to say here. Well, I struggled throughout high school. I wasn't the greatest student or anything like that, so I didn't have any plans on anything after college, let alone any plans for tomorrow. I was living for the day. It was a YOLO lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't mean YOLO like YOLO box where we streaming off of. Shout out to them. But I'm talking about YOLO like you only live once type thing. So I think Jay-Z said, I'd rather It said, "I'd rather die enormous than live dormant." That's how we on it, right? That was a straight. That was exactly how we were living. We were living big, but recklessly. Well, anyway, so as time went on, as life went on, as those things tend to happen, I was 18. I got in some trouble, and by the time I hit 19, I was drinking. I was doing all types of things, man. Things that I really don't even want to speak of as of yet. But if you stay tuned to watching the channel, you'll learn a little bit about those things. But I'm just gonna give you a broad example of that. Um, and when I hit 19, I developed this lump on my leg. I know this is a crazy turn of events, but I developed like a lump on my leg, and I didn't know where it came from. It was just so crazy, but I didn't go to the doctors because that's not how I was living over there. I was just kind of kept running, but for some reason, when I was 19, I was losing energy. Um, I was getting lightheaded all the time, out of the clear blue. I mean, I'm a young, healthy kid. I don't know why this is happening. And then one day I was over at that time a woman's house who I was seeing, and my mother ended up coming over. And we were sitting there talking, and next thing you know, I closed my eyes, and when I opened them, I was looking at the ceiling, and I didn't know what happened. I'm like, what the hell happened? Next thing you know, I'm looking at the ceiling, I see this lady's face come in there and my mom's face, and they're looking down at me like I'm on the floor, because I'm actually on the floor, and I'm looking up like, what is going on? And they said I passed out. Now, I was 19 years old. Yeah, I was into some crazy things, but I've never, ever in my life passed out. Like I seen Michael Jackson or something, and I just fainted. That's what I felt like. But nah, I never passed out, and I was I wasn't gonna say very healthy, but I was healthy. So obviously there was something going on in me, because I wasn't doing anything different than I was doing any other day. So they took me to the hospital. I went to the hospital, got a blood test, and the doctor came back into the room and said, "I think we got a problem here." I said, I'm just thinking like, all right. Yeah, I only went there because my mom was so worried about, whatever was going on with me. Like, I passed out. She had the right to be worried. But I went into to the hospital, to the ER. Shout out to Braddock Hospital, the worst hospital that ever existed. But I went in there, and they said, "Yeah, we got a problem. There's something going on with your numbers." When they took the blood, I was like, "Oh wow, okay, okay." So they wanted me to go see a specialist or something like that. So they sent me out, seen a specialist, and he did a full body exam. At this time, like I said, I had this kind of lump on my leg, but it wasn't too crazy, but it was different. For some reason, I was growing. My right shin was bigger than my left, or my right calf was bigger than my left, and they were checking it. They was like, let me give you a CAT scan or a CT scan and see what was going on. So that's what they did. Um, as they did that, they after I got the CT scan, I went back to the doctors, and they told me they found a lump in there, and it didn't look good. And my numbers, my like they did another blood test or whatever, and they said the numbers are still crazy. So we want to do some further research. So I had to stay in the hospital, and they did a biopsy on the lump they found in my leg. They found out it was a tumor, and that it was possibly cancerous, is what they said to me. And I was like, what? I'm 19 years old. What are you talking about? Like, there's no way anybody my age gets anything that begins with a C. But, well, I don't know about that. But, anything like that, of that nature. And I was a little bit scared. But the way I was living my life at that time, I wasn't living like I was going to make it past tomorrow. I was out there, I was hustling, I was doing all types of things that I shouldn't have been doing. And I have a picture when I was younger. I had a picture of me and about five friends. And I think my mom still has the picture, but only two of those people in that picture is alive from that time. And this was around that same time. And it's me and my brother. And my brother is actually At the moment, he's locked away. A lot of those people in that picture were either locked up or dead, and only two of us survived. So I'm the only one really still out here in this situation. And that was the type of life I was living. So I didn't expect to live past 25 anyway, really, tell you the truth. The way I was living, I probably wouldn't made it past that. That would have been a milestone. But at 19, they're telling me, there's a possibility this tumor we found in your leg or this abscess we found in your leg could be cancerous. So I said, you know what, just do the biopsy, and they did that. And I had to come back to see an oncologist, and his name was Dr. Goodman. And I'm sitting in this office, sitting there with my mom, because my mom was kind of worried, but I seen she was so worried that I knew that whatever the result that Dr. Goodman came into that office with, I couldn't show emotion because she would have broke down. She was so scared. She was scared enough for both of us. But she was so strong. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is, I remember the ride there, she told me whatever it is, whatever is going on, we're gonna be able to handle it and we're gonna take care of it. So and I embodied that feeling. I embodied that feeling. Um, whoo, it's a tough one, guys. So Dr. Goodman came into the office, came into the waiting room, the room I was in, and when he came in there, I was prepared. I wasn't even sitting down. I just couldn't sit down because I was walking back and forth waiting for this doctor to come in with these results. And the results were supposed to be either the abscess or the thing the mass they found in my leg. Either it's benign, or which means I don't have anything, or it's positive. It's like positive or negative. That type of thing. But he came in with the results and he looked at me. And I remember the look on his face because he looked like he'd seen a ghost. And he asked me, this is what he asked me. He said, you should probably sit down. You should probably sit down when I give you this information. He said, and I told him, no, I'm not going to sit down. I'm not going to sit down. You just tell me what you got to tell me. I didn't want to waste any time because if this was what they said it could be, then I got some work to do because I ain't dying. You know what I mean? That's what I thought of with the cancer word was thrown around. That means it's like automatic death, but I just was not willing to accept that. And that's something we're going to talk about. But anyway, so I'm sitting there waiting for Dr. Goodman to tell me the results. And he asked me to sit down. I told him, no, I'm not going to sit down. And then he told me, he's like, I said, just tell me what you got to tell me. He told me. He said, so we found out that it is cancerous. And it's not just cancerous, it's stage 4. You have quite a few of them all up and down your body right now growing. So these tumors were growing all up and down my body. I looked him in the eye and I said these exact words. Okay, then how do you beat it? Because that's what we about to do. My whole life flashed before my eyes, but I know one thing. My whole life I wasn't confident. To that point, I've never felt true confidence. I never felt like I wanted to do something as much as I wanted to do something at that moment. Ever. I felt like when he told me that was probably the worst thing that I could ever hear. It was probably the worst thing that I could ever hear. But it was the best thing to ever happen to me. Because at that moment I realized, oh, there's no more playing around. There's no more being a kid. There's no more of that. Nah. I was never confident my whole life growing up. I never felt confident. But for some reason, when he told me that I had stage 4 cancer at 19 years old, I became confident at that moment that I was not going to die. And I was for sure about that. Now, I couldn't shed a tear at that moment. I wanted to. I was petrified. I was scared. Man, there was no. I'm surprised. I wasn't shaking or anything. I just looked him in his eye and I was confident. And Doctor Goodman looked me back and said, "Whoa, okay, okay. Then let's hurry up and start with the procedures to get you a port in. A port is something that goes in your chest, and that's where they access. That's it's a device that connects directly to your veins. So when they putting chemo in, it goes directly to your body. They don't do that through your arm. They do it through a port that connects to one of your main arteries in your chest. So I had to get surgery to get that in. And he said, "All right, let's hurry up and get that done." And it was a power port. It was like a new port where they can also take blood out of it. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. But he said, "Let's get that in and let's hurry up and get you to a good oncologist that can so we can start the chemo." And I said, "All right, cool." So me and my mom, my mom's looking at me, and I think she was proud though, man. I think she was proud of me because she didn't see fear in me, even though I was scared to death. She was seeing a look of determination, and I seen a look of not I seen a look of fear, but also of of what's the word? She was proud that I handled it that way. And we got in the car and we talked and we said, "Look, we got." And I told her, "We got this. Regardless of what it is, we got this." And we start driving. We start going home, and I broke down. I mean, I didn't break down like dry heaving, crying type thing, but I could not stop the tears from coming down my eyes, man. And we got to the house, and I wiped them off. I wiped them off because I knew it wasn't time to cry. It was time to get to work in my mind. That's how I thought of it. We got home. Uh, we went upstairs, and like I said, I just kept this straight face on. We went upstairs. I talked to my mom. I told her everything's gonna be okay. I went in my room. I closed the door. She came in and made sure. And as I knew when I was laying there in my bed, and I was like, "Yo," I just had to make sure she wasn't gonna come back in, and because she kept coming in just checking on me. I was like, "Mom, I'm good. I'm good. Just chill out. I just need to process this. I'm good." And she left me alone, and like 10 minutes went by before she came back in. So I knew she wasn't coming back in, and that's where I cried. That's where I let it out. That's where I let it out. I could not. I knew I couldn't. Man, I was scared. I was crying. I was like, I was afraid, but I turned. There's something that happened to me in that moment where I knew I could not live in that space. That space of. I couldn't live in the space of that space of sorrow and in that dark place. Like that's not where I'm gonna find this strength at. I can't be here, like, cause I can't accept the fact I was too young. See, there's a power in not knowing. There's a power in not knowing. I didn't know anything about cancer. I didn't know anything about the process. So my ignorance to the situation was actually my strength because I completely turned competitive on this. And I was like, you know what? I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. I was angry. I was angry at the moment. I was angry at only person I could be angry at the moment. For some reason, I was angry at God. I was like, you want me that bad, and I felt like that was what it was. I was like, you can't have me right now. I got things to do. And I remember telling myself these things, and I never talked like this. I never was this confident. I wasn't angry at him. I was just angry to think like that he thought that it was time for me to go or something, because it wasn't. I just had this strength, bro. This strength, like, nah, it ain't me. It ain't happening. Let me show you. I'm gonna show you this. Like, and at that moment, I made the decision. I'm a live every day like it's the best day of my life. Because if I was to die, I was going to die on the best day of my life. And I'm going to do it with integrity. I'm going to go through this. I start lifting weights. I start running. I did not sit down and take it. And there's a whole story. This is just part one. And I'm gonna come back to you with part two. But at the moment, this is this is what I got for you. You know. Um, but I do want to end it with this. Hearing at 19 that I had stage 4 cancer was definitely probably the worst thing in most people's eyes that could have happened to me. But at that moment, I realized as well, not at that moment, but as that process went through and I went through all the other things, which I'm going to talk about in another episode, I realized it was absolutely the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I learned one thing that day. I learned how to fight. And physically, I could do that already, but I learned how to fight for something that was actually valuable. That was my life. And I'm grateful every day I wake up. I feel like I'm on borrowed time. So I'm going to make the best of it. And I'm going to make sure that if you're out there, because that day I learned so much about myself. I learned how strong I actually was in my darkest moments. And I learned as the process went on, and I did end up beating it. Yeah, I'm cancer free. It's been about 10 years. It took about 5 years of chemo and all the other things that we're going to talk about, that process as well. But I'm telling you right now, man, I'm telling you right now, that right there, that moment, I found out my strength. You know, it's like when the room is the darkest, that's when it's easiest for the light to come in. You know, I don't know what that means, but I feel like that's the right way to explain how you can, if you're in a place that is dark, it is dark, and you're at rock bottom, then you're in a good position to do something great because it really can't get no worse than that. All you got to do is act now and don't sit in it. You fight back. You know what I mean? It is your right. It is your responsibility to live, man. Like I say this all the time. I say everybody's going to come to this moment where you're in your deathbed and your life is going to flash before your eyes. It's going to happen to every last person that is listening, every last person that is watching this. It's going to happen to every last one of us. It is your responsibility. It is your responsibility to make sure when your life flashes before your eyes like a movie, it is your responsibility to make sure that movie is worth watching. All right? And that is part one of this. So I'm going to come back with part two. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you're going to get some value out of this. Once more time, this is the 1028. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And please follow us on Facebook at the 1028 podcast. That's the group page, as well as, let me see. Let me take that off. As well as on YouTube, the 1028, where you can find all of this content recorded, and you can play it back. So if you didn't catch all of it right here, you're just coming in late, you go right to the YouTube page and you'll be able to see this whole thing posted, and you can watch it from the beginning to the end. I want to thank all of y'all. I want to say you guys got this. If you're going through it and it feels like life is not going your way, nothing is going your way, let me tell you one thing right now: that shall pass. Just the same as if you're living life right now and everything's going right and you feel like you can't do no wrong, that shall pass. Both sides are part of the process. Both sides are something that life is. That means you're living. Everything's not going to always be all good, but everything is not always going to be all bad. there is a reverse that happens, but it's just your responsibility to make the actions to make sure that's necessary. Go out there, live your life. Go out there, do what it do. Damn it. Go out there and make it do what it do. And Go out there, do something beautiful because the world's counting on you. This world is a blank canvas, and it's up to us to each grab our brush and help create that masterpiece and paint it together. So that's what we're going to do. I'm out, y'all. Bye-bye. Enjoy your night. And don't forget to follow the channel. All right? You also go on Instagram. We also on Instagram and Twitter. Whew. That was a deep one. That was a deep one.